Welcome to another episode of World Cinema in its many shades. Today, I brought you an anomaly. We usually assume that advanced technology leads to better filmmaking. It might be the cool VFX, CGI, or larger-than-life settings, but what about animation? Why do we always go back to nostalgic animated movies, especially in the holiday season like The Night Before Christmas? Well, it's a magic of classic animation, and in this case, stop-motion animation. It's not entirely old or even modern. The format was developed in the late 1800s and since then has been a fan favorite for dark fantasy or children's storytelling. It has a certain choppy effect in the scenes which makes it quite unique, also called puppet animation or cutout animation. Well, if you notice closely, it appears as if a story featuring puppet characters with movable joints. Stop-motion animation is a significant, continuing chapter of the animation industry. But what's so surprising is that even after so many computer-generated animated films replaced 2D animation nowadays, the popularity of stop-motion animation refuses to decline. Some of the most acclaimed animated films of the 21st century are stop-motion animations. Corpse Bride, which came out in 2005 and was directed by the master of Gothic fantasy, Tim Burton. Fantastic Mr. Fox from 2009, directed by another prominent filmmaker, indie film aesthetic innovation, Wes Anderson. A creepy fantasy animation called Coraline from 2009, directed by Henry Selick, who is known for his finesse in creating stop-motion animated films predominantly in his career. And Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio from 2022, directed by the iconic Mexican filmmaker Guillermo del Toro. You may wonder, why is so special about these stop-motion animated films? The unique element is how the storytelling suits not only children but also adults. Usually, stop-motion animated films adapt children's books and folklore and craft a gothic fantasy on screen. The attribute that sustains their popularity in the current era of 3D animation is the fine, commercial refinement and cookie-cutter stories. They instead seem authentic, as if turning pages of a children's book fairy tale. I personally think that the overworld stories are a bit of horror and gothic element fit this animation format very well. For example, Coraline is one of the movies that seamlessly blends a psychological thriller story and horror with a child's protagonist experience. Also, it's one of the movies that raises a lot of questions regarding its ending and the viewers, thus many conspiracy theories about the film. It's a story of a young girl whose reality is gloomy. She feels unloved and unattended by her busy parents. But one day, a sudden intervention happens and she finds a secret little door in her room, and at night, it transforms into a portal to an alternate reality. Now, this might seem like a cliche premise, but the consequences are nowhere cliche. Her mother from the alternative reality, called the Other World, welcomes her. However, she has some horrific plans for Coraline. The two worlds also depict strong contrasts in color and characterization. The reality is drenched in gray colors, dull landscapes, and even the characters appear dull and lifeless. However, the magic lies in the other world, with bizarre characterizations, eccentric colors, and asymmetrical structures that appear like one's nightmare. The film has been edited from a 2002 novel, the same title, written by Neil Gaiman. It's interesting that director Henry is a huge fan of Tim Burton and his iconic stop-motion animated movie from the 1990s, The Night Before Christmas. You can see the visual inspirations from the classic film Coraline. Well, speaking of Tim Burton, he has given us the gems of the films in a stop-motion format. Not only the 90s film, but also Corpse Bride. It's a poignant story of a ghost bride with brilliant aesthetics. The characters have been voiced by amazing actors like Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter. The film is like a canvas with summer blues that pulls you into a supernatural world, and today's discussion has intrigued you about stop-motion animation even a bit. You should definitely start by watching this film. In this film, you can also draw visual parallels with an almost 3 decades old film, The Night Before Christmas. But why is this 1993 film so important? This Disney movie was a breakthrough in the popularity of stop-motion animation in households, especially for American and British audiences. It captured the essence of Christmas and its aesthetics in an experimental, twisted manner, And it also set history as the first animated film to be nominated in the category of Best Visual Effects in the Oscars in 1994. Thus, the film is treated as a milestone in the US National Film Registry. Time and time again, it has been proven as an original work of art created in an advanced era can become timeless. For example, a simple animated film, Flow, has even been nominated in this year's Oscars, even though it's been created with free open source software called Blender. Similarly, the one-of-a-kind craft and impact of a stop-motion animated films transcended the dominance of 3D animation in any era of cinema. So thank you for being there to the end of the discussion, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll be back for more interesting films. Till then, goodbye.